configuring F5 Big IP ASM application security manager to send logs to IBM Qradar SIEM, right? So SIEM stands for security information and event management. So to forward syslog events from F5 Big IP ASM to Qradar, you must configure a logging profile. So a logging profile is used to configure remote storage for syslog events, which can be forwarded directly to Qradar or any other SIEM solution or SIEM server. Not necessarily IBM Qradar, maybe Splunk or any other SIEM solution. But for the lab demonstration, I'm going to use IBM Qradar, right? So quickly, I'm going to show you configuration of F5 Big IP ASM, right? And then I will create a logging profile, attach or associate with the virtual server, and then we'll jump to VBUI page of IBM Qradar, the console, and we will further do the investigation whether logs are collected by IBM Qradar or not, and what in case if like a rule violation or some violation in fact offense is created, alert is generated or not, right? So first thing first, and the first I'm going to show you configuration of F5 Big IP ASM. A very quick verification here. So already there is one virtual server, HTTP underscore virtual server, right? This virtual server has TCP and HTTP profile, and I hope you understand like how to create ASM policy, how to attach or associate ASM policy with the virtual server. And ASM policy is like layer 7 firewalling, layer 7 security, application security. So uh, associating layer 7 profile mandatory, right? You understand that. And already HTTP underscore virtual server has TCP and as well as HTTP profile, because without HTTP profile, layer 7 inspection will never be done, right? All right, so uh, virtual server has ASM policy 01, ASM policy, and policy is in blocking mode, right? And also there is one log profile, log all requests, default log profile, basically local logging. And if I just show you the log profile, so navigate to security, event logs, and then logging profile, right? Click here and log all requests, illegal requests, global network, bot defense, local dust, they all are what? Default logging profile, right? So log all requests logging profile is already associated with the virtual server, right? And if I show you the event logs here, so as well there is no event log. Let me quickly access the web server, the application server behind F5 web ASM, basically from here, from the computer, right? So I'm going to initiate HTTP request to access the web application, right? But instead of using a standard browser, Chrome, Firefox, or any other browser, I'm going to use a fiddler tool, right? A fiddler is obviously not a standard browser. So definitely there should be violation, like violation will get triggered, and we would see that in the event log section. However, local logging is enabled only. So as there is no SIEM tool, IBM is not in picture, right? So here is my fiddler, inspector, composer, and IP address of the virtual server. Yes, 246. I'm just sending get request. Get is the HTTP method. You understand that. Just hit down execute one time, right? Twice. So and you can see here like the execute it, and is there any event logs? refresh and see here two event logs and triggered violation. And if we see the reason, so very much we will understand that user isn't is what a fiddler. Fiddler is not a standard browser, non-browser client, right? Non-browser client. Okay. Now, objective is to configure logging profile so that F5 big IP ASM should like forward events, system syslog events to Qradar, right? Basically, Qradar are SIEM solution like both NetFlow and event logs. They both can be forwarded to Qradar. So on routers and other networking devices, we configure NetFlow to send like net flow in fact to Qradar, right? So events and flows, they both can be forwarded to Qradar. Qradar collects both events and flows, and then data is normalized, uh, parsing is done, and then based on the created rule, offense is triggered there, right? So in SIM is like nowadays is very much like required. So if you want to really uh, do the correlation, you want like centralized uh, place to forward all the logs, and then correlation data like parsing, normalization, plus like some automated response or offenses, alerts. So yes, like definitely you should have a SIM tool in your environment. Not necessarily IBM QRadar, even Splunk or ELK, right? Elasticsearch, Logstash and Kibana, maybe Azure Sentinel. A lot of tools are available in the market, open source and as well as commercial products, in fact, right? But my objective is to show you like how to like send logs from F5 ASM to Qradar, right? So just navigate to security and event logs, right? And logging profile, create a new log profile, right? So I'm going to create a new log profile. You can give any name. So I'm going to give a name Qradar logging. It's just the name. You can give any name or logging, and the description optional, application security, right? Enable application security. I'm interested in application security only. And then um, select advanced from configuration, a storage destination, right? Select remote storage. So a storage destination, remote storage, and then logging format, right? So comma separated values. So I'm going to select key values pairs, even like in bracket Splunk is written, but no worries. You can use this key values pair. Response logging, if you want, then yes, you can turn it on, or maybe you can say like for all requests, right? Or just you can like turn it off like response logging just to minimize like number of log messages. Protocol TCP is the default, even we can use UDP. And then IP address. So I'm using IP address of IBM QRadar, IP address of SIM server, and port number default 514. So IP address and port number of what? Your SIM server, right? And you'll have to ensure IP reachability. IP reachability. So this should be IP reachability. I mean, like F5 WAF or ASM should be very much able to reach to SIM server. So you'll have to ensure IP reachability. In my environment, yes, they both are on the same network, same subnet. So yes, there is IP reachability. So hit down add, just add, and it's now added here. You can see here it's added IP and port number. And further, if you want, then you can also enable report detected anomalies. Yes, I want that. Even you can um, get into this advanced mode with the request type illegal request only. You want to log all requests, so you can select here protocols, response status code, HTTP methods, right? So you can customize as per requirement and hit down create. So step number one is creating a logging profile. Logging profile is created now, and you can quickly verify logging profile from here. Qradar logging, right? And this is not the default. In fact, Qradar logging is not the default, and you can see here like default, like different symbols here. I mean, like a different way to represent that, and the profile that I created is something different because default profile logging profiles cannot be deleted. So I'm not able to select any default profiles from here. They all are what read only, right? So you can see here read only, and profile that I created is read and write, right? So further, this can be edited, customized. Step number one done, right? Good so far. Step number two, select virtual server, HTTPS underscore virtual server one, security, policies, and then log profile. Already there is one log profile associated, no problem, right? Let this log profile be associated. I'm associating another one, QRadar logging, update, right? So now, like we have finished doing configuration in this F5 big IP ASM. Next step, we want to do verification now. So I'm going to log into this Qradar, right? Qradar SIEM, and then we will do the verification whether logs are forwarded from here or not, right? And even we can write down rule in Qradar SIEM that in case if a browser that is user agent is not a standard browser, then offense should be generated. We can do that, right? Or maybe if like there is a SQL code injection attack, parameter tampering, hidden field manipulation, or some other unusual or illegal activities, then yes, if you want, then that offense would get generated. That is possible. Another important point to understand I must mention here is F5 big IP ASM is now going to like forward syslog events to IBM QRadar, right? So IBM QRadar, the SIM solution, has basically a DSM. DSM stands for DSM device support module. What is DSM? So basically QRadar uses DSM or device support modules to log and correlate the data that is collected from external log sources. For example, like F5 PIP ASM, firewalls, switches, routers, proxy servers, right? Windows server, Active Directory server, Linux server. So IBM QRadar basically uses device support module. Means in very simple, let me put it another way. So let's say this F5 big IPSM is now forwarding syslog events to QRadar, all right? So QRadar will identify log source automatically, right? Will understand like logs are coming from F5 big IP ASM or F5 big IP APM, F5 big IP LTM, right? IBM understand that and will identify. Sometime what happens, uh, sufficient amount of syslog events are required. I mean, like we'll have to wait for 5 to 10 minutes, right? So initially maybe like some unknown or unrecognized log source, but later on, like immediately the log source would be identified. F5 will be F5 big IP ASM as the log source will be identified by IBM QRadar, and even the log source is automatically created here, right? Log source is created. So to identify log sources or event sources or even flow sources, right? In case of networking, like the flow sources or maybe event sources, DSM modules play very important role, right? And IBM had like whole bunch of DSM modules, in fact, right? And uh, in corner use case, if let us assume that Qradar doesn't automatically detect the log source, is unable to identify the log source from where the logs are coming from, events or flows, then even we have the option to create log source or flow source, right, manually, right, and has to be added manually by using some like syslog protocol. So in IBM Qradar, we have the option. We can create log source manually also, right? But only if the log source is not automatically detected most of the time, right? Because IBM QRadar has whole bunch of like DSM like device support modules, be that your 14 firewall, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, F5, Blue Coat, Zscaler, any IPS, IDS, Windows AD server, DNS server, Linux servers, authentication servers, they all are log sources are automatically detected, right? And DSMs, and the important point I must mention before I jump to this console of IBM QRadar to show you like whether logs are getting collected or not. So DSMs are regularly updated, right? Here, DSMs are regularly updated to ensure that a QRadar can correctly interpret and parse security event informations that is provided by external devices like firewalls or maybe some other devices, right? And if you want to do updation manually, that is also possible. So DSMs can be updated automatically, auto update, and even manual, that is also possible. So I'm going to show you, just rest assured, I'm going to show you about like logs versus DSM and all that. So this screen is IBM QRadar Security Intelligence Community Edition. Let me log in with my login credential. All right, so in order to verify like events like the log activity, we need to like click here log activity, and for net flows, network activity. So there are two different tabs, right? And admin is like for administrative tasks, for all your administrative tasks. So just click here log activity, and see here like I can see one log message here. And let me click one more time. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to access 246 but not from a standard browser, right? So SQ. So I did like multiple times here, okay, 3 or 4 times. Done. And see here is logs are in real time, and I can see like non-browser client, right? Non-browser client, and the F5 ASM log source is identified, detected, right? Is detected. And even the event count, like the number of like events, similar events, so counted here 4. And if I just scroll to right side, then web exploit IP address, I can see the IP address, source port, destination IP, destination port, and it's a real time log in fact, right? Non-browser client. Again, if I and there are some other logs as well, Windows authentication server, because Windows server is also like sending logs here. And if I just click here multiple times, maybe some other method, post method, and I hope you understand like fiddler tool, right? And you see here like a lot of non-browser client messages here, right? And if I just show you log source, so admin tab, and here in admin tab, log sources, right? And see here like the force point and FortiGate, Linux, and this is the latest one, F5 ASM. So log source is automatically created. IBM Qradar has successfully detected the log source, from which source logs are coming from. Logs are coming from where? From F5 ASM, right? Status, protocol, and you can see here like and identifier and enable true. So, and if I just scroll right, just to show you, and you can see it's auto discovery, right? Auto discovery. I then create this, automatically created. In case if not created, source is not detected, then yes, we have the option to create log source manually, right? So we can create log source manually, but most of the time, just wait for 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes maybe more than 10 to 20 minutes, 15 minutes. But after 10 to 15 minutes, log sources are automatically identified, detected by IBM QRadar, right? But in case not detected, then just create log source manually and you can select the device like from where the logs are coming from. So whole bunch of like devices. And as I mentioned about the auto update, so if I show you, let me go to this auto update tab of IBM QRadar. So updates were installed here and view update history. So DSM scanner for different vendor, and even like you can click here, check for update, get new updates, and update will show up here and you can select and start from here, right? DSM, device support module.